So once you've finished your environmental controversy paper, there is a presentation. Now, usually when I say presentation, students kind of freak out, but a lot of students have admitted to me after doing it that it wasn't actually that hard because the presentation you're doing is just your paper in picture form. That's it. So you're already an expert on the topic. Now your whole goal is creating a presentation to teach that material to your classmates. And sometimes it helps thinking about you're just teaching it. You wrote a whole paper about zoos. You know a lot about zoos and you're just sharing that with the class. The grade for this, I believe, is about 22 points, so it's not worth that much. So I don't want you to freak out too much about it, that this is a major grade in the course or anything like that. It's really just an opportunity for you to share what you've learned in your project. Remember, everyone did something different, so you might be the only chance a lot of people get to learn a little bit more about your issue. So you've finished your paper, I've graded it and given it back to you. Be sure to look at the feedback that I give you, because if I say, hey, you're missing this very important point, you're going to want to make sure to put that into your presentation. For the most part, it's probably not going to apply to you, but it has happened from time to time. So just be sure to look at my feedback just so you don't miss points on it again with your presentation. So there's only a couple of deadlines for this. So you have the quiz that goes through the presentation. It's submitting the presentation file, and then in class we'll do the actual presentations. I will make a remark because it wasn't in the first video. The last requirement of this project is the reflection. So you'll do this after the paper and after the presentation. And it's just reflecting back on the project, thinking about what you've learned or what you didn't learn. It's 5 points. I just ask a couple questions, and as long as you answer them honestly, I don't care what you say. If you say, wow, this was really dumb, or my point didn't change, or screw the environment, I think business is more important, that's fine. I don't care what your actual stance is. What I care about is that you have a stance and you can support that stance. All I care about. So let's talk a little bit about the presentation. Now what I'm going to do is let's open this file first just to give you a quick overview. You guys are going to be doing a presentation style referred to as a flash talk. It is exactly 3 minutes long, and when I say exactly, I mean the slides are literally timed. So you don't have a chance to go over or under because the slides are already timed. Every person in the class has 10 slides, and each slide will automatically advance after 18 seconds, meaning you have 180 seconds total, which is 3 minutes. You can't change the number of slides. You can't change how much time it takes before they change. So everyone has the same exact starting place. At first, it's going to be difficult. You're going to want to put way too much information on your slides. But as you practice, you'll be like, I'll get rid of that, I'll get rid of that, I'll get rid of that. And so before I talk more about the presentation, I'm going to give you an example. And with this example, you're going to kind of notice some features that'll be in potentially your flash talk. So I did my topic on climate change. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started. And you're going to notice I'm not clicking anything. It's going to be automatically advancing every 18 seconds. And it should load at some point. There we go. Hi everyone, my name is Kirsten Newtoff, and today I'll be talking to you about climate change. And here we can see in this picture one of the causes of climate change, which is us and our electricity. This is Earth at night, and you can see how much electricity we're using. Now the reason this matters is when we think about the carbon cycle. So the carbon cycle starts in a couple different places, but with us as humans, we're burning fossil fuels. And when we burn fossil fuels, it's releasing carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. And this is a given. Fossil fuels have carbon-based compounds, so when you burn them, it releases carbon dioxide. Now carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, and so the more greenhouse gases we have, when Earth is radiating heat, a lot more of that heat is getting bounced back to Earth, creating this increased global warming. Now, this increase in carbon dioxide has been so dramatic recently. So in this graph, we do see that it has a natural increasing and decreasing cycle, but recently, looking in the past 50 years, it's increased exponentially. Now, Here's why I think we should be changing, is because this increased global temperature is causing a lot of negative effects around the world. We have stronger storms resulting in flooding and hurricanes. We're having more droughts, so this is affecting things like agriculture. But it's not just that. Thinking about organisms, thinking about polar bears, the staple of climate change, they're losing their habitat. Thinking closer to humans, things like insects, like mosquitoes, they carry tons of diseases, and insects love warm weather. So that means more and more insects, damage to humans and damage to our crops. But the other side of it is that those fossil fuels make us ton and ton of money. Fossil fuels generate about $56 million about every 5 years or so. And our economy really relies on fossil fuels. Another reason we shouldn't change is thinking about not just us using those goods, but also the incomes generated from the people who are mining those goods. They produce tons of different jobs as well as a lot of stimulation into our economy. So here's what I think about it, to kind of address both of these things, is that yes, we have a series of workers that are working in this field that would go obsolete if we made a lot of changes. So what I think we should be doing is retraining these individuals into these jobs that are promoting more green technologies. Essentially like a New Deal that we had during the Depression, but now this Green New Deal, which has been proposed in our US government. So we can work together, and we can also slowly do it as well. So thank you for coming and listening to my talk. That's it. That was 3 minutes. I'm done. That was it. So again, I had 10 slides. You can see that here on the left-hand side. Each one was 18 seconds and automatically went across. Now, I'm going to point out some things that you should have in your presentation. So one thing you notice, I don't have any citations. There's not a list for references. There's not a thank you slide. We want 10 slides of content. 10 slides is not that much. You also notice I don't have that many words on my slides. They are only up for 18 seconds. You cannot have paragraphs and paragraphs of words. You can do bullet points, but only a couple words on the bullet points. The goal is pictures. The pictures are going to be a lot more powerful and say a lot more things than a whole bunch of words. Now, you're not able to use note cards, and I will be able to tell very easily if you're using them or if you're reading a screen, but use your pictures as note cards, right? I knew I wanted to talk about polar bears and habitat loss and mosquitoes and human impacts, so I used those pictures to help me remember those points. So use your pictures as your note cards. Now, the big issue I see a lot with students is this title slide. They'll be like, actually, I'm going to show you an example. Hi, my name is Kirsten Newtoff, and today I'm going to be talking about climate change. So, the carbon cycle, etc. You know how awkward that was? So, yes, that first slide is 18 seconds. You cannot change that, but what you can change is what you start talking about. If I needed to, I could have even put the carbon cycle on my title screen, right? I could have put a diagram up here. I don't have to just say the title on my title slide. When I was presenting this slide, what I started talking about was showing how you can see how much energy we are using from space. And this is kind of exasperating the fact, like, yeah, climate change is a big deal, and here's an example of how it's happening. So I don't care what you put on your title screen, it can have information. It should have information, because I'm going to take off points for you sitting there for 14 seconds not saying anything. So get creative. Now, on the other side, sometimes you have a slide and you need more than 18 seconds to talk about it. There is no way to talk about it in 18 seconds. So something that you can do is duplicate it. And I actually do that a couple times in this presentation. I've duplicated slides 2 and 3, as well as slides 9 and 10. You don't have to do this, it's just an option. It's really easy to duplicate a slide. Just on the slide that you finish, if you right click on it, and one of the options is to duplicate slide, and it makes a beautiful copy of it. The last thing that I want to point out is that you may have noticed that I have this bar at the bottom of my slides. This is a countdown bar. It lasts for 18 seconds and kind of slides across the screen. And I use this to help myself time myself. It gives me an idea of how many seconds that I have left. I know when I'm running out of time. So just letting you know, use that. That is totally fine to use. And it's not super distracting either. So the last thing I want to point out to you is here we are on Blackboard. If I go back up to kind of the project overview, I have the example. So the example I just presented, I posted it for you in case you just want to take a closer look at it. And then I also have a template, and I'm going to go ahead and open this template. The template is not much of anything at all. All it is it's 10 slides. I've already formatted it so that they transition every 18 seconds. And then I give you little tips. So yeah, you should change the fonts and colors. This black bar, the countdown bar, already on these slides. So you don't need to figure out how to make them. The biggest tip, and that's why it's on the first slide, is use Microsoft PowerPoint. If you've got a Mac, you can download PowerPoint for free through MyMC, and I give you instructions on that on the beginning of the semester. Don't use Google Slides. Don't use Keynote. And the reason I say this, I'm going to tell you right now, the moment you open up this file in anything not PowerPoint, the two common problems students have is they lose the countdown bar no longer works, and the slide transitions don't work anymore. And so students can't really practice because the slides aren't moving every 18 seconds. So I am telling you right now, if you are having problems, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, did you open up the template in Microsoft PowerPoint? If not, your solution is to open up the template in Microsoft PowerPoint. You do not have to use the template if you're like, yeah, I know how to do these things. That's fine, but I highly recommend starting with this and then editing it and adding colors and pictures and stuff like that. So that's it. 3 minutes and you're done. When you go to submit your presentation, I'm also going to ask you your order. So depending on what semester this is, because this varies semester to semester, you will somehow get a choice of when you are going. So just be sure to read the instructions so you kind of know how you can do that. It is first come, first serve. So the sooner you finish, the sooner you get to choose. With that, good luck. You're going to be great. Don't worry about it. You are just teaching everyone else about all the really cool things that you learned.